Police in Kenya tell ABC News this morning they have substantially increased security at the compound surrounding the home of President Obama's grandmother, Sarah Obama, following threats from the Somali affiliate of al-Qaeda called al-Shabaab. Known as Mama Sarah, or Granny, she is the president's step-grandmother in her late 80s and lives near other relatives, including the president's half-brother. Officials say security at the compound was increased after Obama's election in 2008, but will now include patrols round the clock because of the threats that were made in the days immediately after the death of bin Laden. It is one of more than a dozen specific threats that have come following the raid of bin Laden's compound, where U.S. Navy SEALs recovered a boatload of documents that U.S. officials continue to analyze and decode. And so far, the writings reveal bin Laden directed his followers to spread out his attacks beyond New York and kill as many Americans as possible.
U.S. officials say bin Laden seemed obsessed with outdoing the 9/11 attacks, calculating that only a death toll in the thousands would affect U.S. policy.
I think what the new information indicates is that he was more involved than most people realized, not just in giving strategic guidance, but into providing operational details into some of the plots.
From his hideout in Pakistan, bin Laden seems to have watched enough TV to know that security had been tightened in New York and at airports, and that smaller cities and rail lines would be easier targets. Spread it out, he wrote.
It makes it more difficult for us to track because we're looking at more symbolic locations. There's softer targets, there's less security in the Midwest and other places.
Bin Laden's writings were discovered in his compound by the U.S. Navy SEALs, both in a written journal and on computer flash drives. The question now is whether the U.S. can act on the material in a timely way.
This does suggest that there are active plots, but the longer it takes to act on it, the older it gets. So if it's actionable, it's going to be actionable for a very short period of time.
And overnight, police here in New York arrested two men who were attempting, they say, to buy AK-47s and hand grenades as part of what police describe as a plot to attack synagogues in this city, Robin.
Do we know anything more about these two men and any connection with bin Laden?
Well, they are described as North African Muslims, but police say the plot was underway well before the death of bin Laden, so not considered part of a direct retaliation.
All right, thanks for your reporting as always, Brian.
It's not about justice, it's not about agenda, it's not about mobilizing people, it's about dialing for corporate dollars. These two parties have sold the U.S. government and the American people to the highest bidders.
The United States of America is a terrorist base of operations.